Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Charmaine Ward Milner, and I serve as a Director of Corporate Relations for Georgia Power. In my role, I lead a team that works across the state to engage with our diverse customer communities, specifically African American, Hispanic, Asian, LGBTQ, women, and seniors. And we really focus on educating them on energy initiatives, building advocacy around energy issues, and helping to enhance our brand. I am proud of the work that Georgia Power does in the community and that we continue to demonstrate our mantra of being a citizen wherever we serve. And part of that is supporting nonprofits across the state, like National Black MBA. I am so honored to be the moderator today for the Scale-Up Pitch, um, Winner's Circle series. So one of the things with National Black MBA that you may know is that I am the past president of the Atlanta chapter. I serve as the advisor for the Atlanta chapter currently, and I humbly serve on the national board for National Black MBA. So I have such a great affinity for National Black MBA and all the wonderful work that they do. And just glad to be here. And thank you so much for spending time with us today. We have a great program. So let's get started. National Black MBA Association launched the Scale Up Challenge in 2017, which works to satisfy the mission of the association to help create and support wealth building opportunities for its members. Previous winners have experienced great success with investors due to exposure and funding provided through this challenge. This challenge is a pitch composition designed to make big ideas even bigger by encouraging its members to create startups that are scalable. National Black MBA provides startups the unique opportunity to connect with early stage investors and venture capitalists who are ready to invest. National Black is hosting its first Scale Up Winners Circle series. This series will showcase past Scale Up winners. You will have the opportunity to hear firsthand from Scale Up winners their journey to entrepreneurship and gain great insight on how they position themselves and their businesses for success. Today, we have a treat in store for you. We are speaking with the 2018 Scale Up Pitch Challenge winner, Kwame Boler, co-founder and CEO of New. Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, Kwame has always been an entrepreneur at heart. From selling chocolate bars to buy his first computer to working 3 jobs as a computer engineering undergrad to pay for his education. Kwame has always used his drive, diligence, and discipline to power through any obstacle. Hating the idea of executing someone else's vision, as a serial entrepreneur, Kwame co-founded a short-term rental property management company in late 2015. While moonlighting as a commercial vacation rental host, Kwame's business was wildly profitable, but he and his co-founders struggled to scale it as they could not find a reliable cleaning solution. With a mindset of forging a path where there was none, in 2016, Kwame later co-founded an Airbnb cleaning company to address his business problem. However, this business model was short-lived, and after gaining a better understanding of the cleaning industry in 2017, Kwame left his day job to co-found New, a reliable platform that provides cleans on demand, that provides quality cleans on demand. I wanted to make sure I got that in there. As a managed marketplace, New makes cleaning seamless, safe, and stress-free, leveraging technology and third parties to streamline service. Operating in Seattle and Phoenix, New's beachhead is currently vacation rentals, but inevitably they will disrupt the service industry by creating the world's largest cleaning company. As the CEO, Kwame continues to develop himself by continually seeking various perspectives, connecting with other founders, and always having at least 2 books on hand that focus on some business aspect. His technical background and business mindset, combined with the support of his wife, business partners, friends, co-founders, advisors, employees, continue to help further his potential. His career versatility, strong communication, leadership skills, and ability to create and execute a clear vision have contributed to new success. And Kwame hopes to one day take the company public. Towards the end of the interview, we will be taking questions from the audience, so feel free to put your questions in the comment section. With that, welcome, Kwame.
Hi, Sherman. Happy to be here.
Great. We're so happy to have you here. I've been reading about you, and I can't wait for our audience to hear just about your journey. So I always like to start with something personal. I mean, we know what the bio said, but tell us a little bit about Kwame. Who are you?
Well, for the most part, I spend a good portion of my time working on my company, as almost all founders do. But privately, I'm married. I love my wife, Braxton. She's phenomenal. I also have two dogs, both German Shepherd mixes. And so between that and my family and my company, that's usually the only thing that I'm like working on almost around the clock on.
All right, great. So family is really important. I love that. And what about your company? Now I read about, what New does, how you kind of got into it, but tell us kind of in layman's terms, what is New and what does it do?
So we're a modern alternative to a typical agency. So, the best way that I usually often describe it is like, picture this. You're an Airbnb host with a property that's downtown. It's 11 o'clock. And just like a hotel, your guest just checks out and you need to get the space ready, including getting the linens washed, the toiletries restocked, as well as all the amenities replaced. It's really difficult to do that if you have a day job and you're gainfully employed. And especially if you have someone that's checking in again that same day. And so what we figured out is a way to combine technology as well as a supply chain system to provide all the sheets, towels, toiletries commonly kept within hotels to cleaners that want to operate and work in a peer-to-peer environment. Equipped with these items, they're able to service the spaces in less time, which enables them to do more jobs within the same window and earn more on New than they could independently. And so it's pretty hassle-free and stress-free for all parties because cleaners are now in a position to where they can work when they want to and not because they have to, kind of similar to like Uber or some of the other technical platforms that are peer-to-peer. While at the same time, homeowners are now in a position to where they're able to list on Airbnb and get a passive income source, all because of our company.
Wow, I love that. And so I read that you kind of started this business because you were an Airbnb host. So tell us how you went from being an Airbnb host and having this problem yourself to actually being motivated to turn it into a business.
So while I was gainfully employed at the Boeing company, my co-founders and I on a previous business venture struggled to find a reliable cleaning solution. Like in our first year of business, we had scaled to operating a little bit under 20 listings or over 20 listings when you include my own personal portfolio as well. And the challenge was each of the cleaning solutions we tried sucked. Like the first one was the absolute best, but it just kept getting worse and worse the bigger the company that we worked with. And each of them was really good at sales because they each outpromised more than the first one did, but none of them actually met our expectations or actually delivered the experience that we wanted to receive as hosts. So frustrated and sick and tired of being sick and tired, we decided, age-old adage, you can't find someone else, might as well do it yourself. We replicated a business model that was very common or from a known property management company that was pretty huge and where they had a wholly owned subsidiary. And what they did was they cleaned their properties as well as the properties of other spaces within the same buildings or the condominiums that they own in order to ensure that they can basically subsidize all of the costs associated with staffing their cleaning staff. And so we thought we can leverage technology as a way to manage our own employees and team, clean our properties, and take on other customers in order to get rid and subsidize those costs. But that was a very big learning in business because we knew absolutely nothing about the cleaning industry, and it was a nightmare. Like tens of thousands of dollars later from bad cleans to guests checking into dirty rooms, to, even just dealing with a lot of the frustrations that many of the cleaning companies faced, where we took on other clients and realized most hosts were nightmares. They had no idea what they were asking for, and there was so much friction that existed between these two. We later pivoted and introduced New as a business in 2017. Now introducing a marketplace, understanding both of the differences within our customer segment, and more importantly, making sure that we operated as an advocate for our cleaner customers, most of whom are usually not able to actually speak or have a voice, because the service industry is often one that most people don't really look into thinking about improving the quality of life.
Wow. So what I really liked that I heard, and I really want our entrepreneurs to pick up on, is that the initial company kind of failed, right? And you had to pivot. So, but you didn't give up, right? You said, okay. And one of the things that I heard you say was that you really didn't know anything initially about that business. And so you had to go back to the drawing board, do your homework. And this sometimes is where our young entrepreneurs get frustrated, they give up, right? But you didn't. So you came up with this new business, but you needed money. So you then entered the Scale-Up Pitch Challenge. So how all of a sudden did this impact this new brainchild that you had new?
Well, National Black and Scale-Up competition was a huge part of New success, especially our story overall. So I was uniquely one of the competitors that actually competed twice. And in its inaugural year, I competed in 2017, and I lost. I got to the quarterfinals, where me and my co-founder were flown out, and we got to meet some really phenomenal people and some phenomenal founders. And at that point in time, I was actually incredibly arrogant. Now, we shared this story previously, Charmaine. So to talk a little bit more about that, I was uniquely in a position where, because I had won several national competitions or placed in national and regional competitions, when I thought I was going to be competing exclusively against my own, that handicap, or what I perceived was going to be a handicap, I thought was going to assure my victory easily. And worst of all, I had gotten so used to speaking and communicating in a tech-centric community that the way I articulated the value of what problem we were solving didn't always resonate well with the audience that was specific at that event, as well as with some other people as well. So when I didn't win, I didn't necessarily take it personal, but I took it as an opportunity for growth. I reached out to all the judges to learn a little bit more about what and why, I didn't advance, and what I could have grown from. And when I spoke with one of them, I remember very fluently, the way she described my product was completely wrong. And when she parroted it back to me, what she thought the problem we were solving and why she felt that we couldn't scale, it then clicked that I wasn't really communicating in a way that was actually receptive to the audience. And so going flash forward to 2018, I made sure I practiced extensively. Like even previously I do. One of my tricks is I over prepare. I will be the type of person that in both competitions, I showed up at 5 a.m., figured out a way to sneak into the room. Don't advise this to most founders, but we're usually not really strong rule followers. But I snuck in the room and I would literally practice my pitch to a point to where I had the timing down to an exact science. And by the time that I got to the 2018 competition, it was huge. I was very excited and humbled to have been able to win and take that prize home for our company. It was huge in the sense where there was a lot of exposure that came from it. And likewise, there were many connections that I've made from National Black and just competing in the Scale-Up Challenge that I cherish to this day. So there was a huge positive impact overall.
You said so much there, Kwame, and I know our audience is writing as quickly as they can, but there are a couple of things I want to unpack. This loss was probably one of the best things that happened for you and your company. Would you say that? I mean, because it sounds like it really caused you to rethink how you were communicating, to rethink the story you were telling, not just the how you were communicating, but what you were communicating, right? So, and I love that you snuck into the room. I didn't think anybody else needed to practice where exactly they were going to speak. I do that if I can all the time. So I'm just sitting here cracking up because we have that in common. But I think too often that people don't take that, okay, I lost, as necessarily a good thing. You didn't fail, but why did you lose, right? And I thought it was just incredibly humble of you to reach out to the actual judges and get their perspective. And then when you heard that, that allowed you to figure out where you had gaps. So thank you for sharing that with our audience who perhaps is thinking about, entering the scale up pitch competition, or maybe they've entered it and they didn't win and they said, I'm not doing that again. Don't give up, right? That's what we heard from Kwame. So you mentioned what National Black MBA has meant. Tell us how having a membership in National Black MBA has impacted you, whether it's professionally or personally.
Well, I will say that by far the community is the biggest value that you get with the organization. Being able to see profoundly Black excellence, centralized, organized, and in a way in which we can augment one another is huge. Like, I'd say that most people believe success is not only a path that's like this, but realistically, it's like this. But the shortcut to success is knowledge and wisdom. And so being able to connect with individuals that may have been in a position where you've been, and then being receptive and willing to help or unlock doors or connect you with the right people is so profound to your success. And I say that like in any form of success, whether you decide to be an entrepreneur or you decide to, work or be or remain gainfully employed, your network or your network is your net worth. And so it's important that you invest in making sure that you remain in contact with a lot of those people, and more importantly, organizations like National Black, and even just specifically National Black, has been phenomenal for me.
Wow. Great. Thank you. Now, there were a couple of really good moments there. I want to make sure the shortcut to success is knowledge and wisdom. Somebody's got to hashtag that someplace. That was awesome, Kwame. And then one of my favorites that I actually use always is your network is your net worth. That's right. So I love that you talked about community, right? And earlier you talked about family. So I can tell just that sense of having others that are supportive and encouraging is important to you personally and to your business. And I'm glad to know the National Black MBA was able to provide some of that. So again, I want to remind our audience, if you have a question, please submit your questions. We're going to read it. It's going to appear on the screen. And you have Kwame here is just a wealth of information sharing his journey. And so please take this opportunity to ask a question. So just put it in, just type it in. So Kwame, this is another question. Just when you kind of think about your journey, we were just talking about, right? What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are either just starting a business or they're looking to scale their business? Because you've done both just in the last couple of years.
Well, for entrepreneurs that are looking to start their business, the biggest advice that I give to them is that an ounce of prevention is sure beats a pound of cure. And with that, I mean, it's incredibly imperative that you focus your time and your energy on doing your research, like knowing your numbers. One of the biggest mistakes that some founders make is that they usually allow intuition to drive their decision-making skills. And sometimes that's great. It's good to go with your gut feeling. But when it comes to making a business decision, people lie, numbers don't. And it's important for you to understand exactly what the market opportunity is, have a very well formalized, I wouldn't necessarily say business plan, but at least be able to have some key idea and metrics of who you're marketing to and your channels of acquisition of customers, as well as strategically speaking, like why you believe it'll be successful and what your anticipated both cash flow will be, as well as what and how you choose to define success is. for someone that's looking to scale a business, that's something that's going to be a little bit more complex because it's not stage agnostic, meaning it's very specific to where you're at with your company, where you're post seed or Series A or further around the lines, or if you're just at a small business and it's just 2 or 3 people they're making it work to kind of grow and scale. And with that, it's one thing that I often advise most founders outside of their stage that is relatively stage agnostic advice is don't get comfortable or stay comfortable. Like, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, it's important for you to not fall into trends and believe that everything is stoic. Like, a good example would be like some way you may have marketed to your customers, like maybe a year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, is going to change. And you have to recognize and understand that change is important. And so the best way to ensure that you don't fall victim or trapped to that is that you're constantly testing. Like, you're retesting and validating things that you may have experimented with in the past that didn't work. And you may be surprised in learning that it now works, whether it be channel acquisition strategies or even just customer acquisition strategies. Just be in a position where you're constantly perpetually testing, and be very intelligent, almost like take a scientific method approach when it comes to your marketing and sales.
So that is great. And I love that you talked about know your numbers. And that's really important in the pitch competition, right? You have to be able to nail those numbers in a really short period of time. And I think that's what gives investors a lot of confidence when people can really explain the numbers, right? I mean, gut is great. Everybody thinks they have a great product, but what do the numbers say? I love when you said people lie, the numbers don't, right? So you have to know your numbers. And I love the other thing that you talked about was being over prepared. So often, I'll meet with entrepreneurs and they just really haven't done enough homework. Take the time to do the homework and be over prepared, know the numbers. I mean, you gave us just such good information, Kwame. If you have any questions for Kwame, please give them to us. We still have a few more minutes. So please put your questions in the comment, and we'll read them out. So I have one other question for you though, Kwame, and I have a few others if we don't have any from the audience. So what book or movie or podcast lately inspires you?
I am really, really a big fan of most of Daniel Coyle's work. Like, I recently read Culture Code. I thought it was like a really excellent excerpt on your point on like some of the marketing and ways to grow and scale your business. A very easy read that's very actionable and good to digest is a book called Traction. I definitely think that most founders should be adding that to their library, especially when it comes to figuring out ways in which they can discover different channels of customer acquisition. Outside of that, like How to Win, like Carnegie's books as well, like How to Win and Influence People and Friends, also really, really good novels. There's a lot that you can like digest, but that's kind of, what's currently on my reading list that's in my car right now is Amos's How to Sell, like from Techstars, which is a pretty good book. It's a good read, and I actually gave that to someone in our sales team just because I was enjoying it from the early stages, and I think that most people should probably look into that if they're going to be in the sales influential world.
Okay, great. So How to Sell, Culture Code, and Traction are 3 books that you recommend. And just so you know, we've already put together some of Kwame's resources that he likes, and we're going to share those with you at the end. So I do have a question from Philip Dunn. Philip says that he was at the National Black MBA conference when Kwame pitched new in Detroit, and you did a great job. How many pitch competitions should entrepreneurs participate in each year? Great question, Philip.
Yeah, and thanks for your question, Philip. And also, I appreciate that. That was very kind. It varies. It really just depends on the intent or the goal of the founder as well as the company. Pitch competitions can be extremely distracting, mainly because of the fact that they take quite a lot of time to prepare, making sure that they each have their own unique nuances. Some of them have different grading rubrics. So for people to be successful at them, especially when there's only one winner, often at times one prize, your odds of success are going to be relatively low. However, what I would say, and where I do see value with mini pitch competitions, is that with tens of them, and especially if you do win, it's going to be a great press release. I think if your goal and outside of winning is for practice, that's a really great opportunity for you as a founder to be able to learn and hone your skills prior to actually pitching. I will say competitively, pitching is different than pitching to an investor, but there are some similarities and some takeaways that you can take in being able to be in a position where your practice and honing your skills and getting more comfortable speaking in public about your product, and also seeing what resonates within your audience. So to answer, I guess, your question succinctly, it varies. Again, like you can do one of them, you can do three of them, you can do none of them. It just depends on the stage of your business.
Okay, great. I want to ask a follow-up question. You said that it's different pitching to investors versus pitching in a pitch competition. Can you just give us one or two? What I would have thought they were very similar.
Um, it will. So this will also vary with respect to the company and the product that you're building. I will say that the fact that because New is a SaaS-enabled or tech centralized business. In public pitch competitions, it's good for you to really ensure that your audience can conceptually digest it. So most of the people there may not be as technically sophisticated or as business sophisticated to be able to really grasp all the material in which you're presenting. And so some of the vocabulary, the terminology, as well as the data that you present is going to be very different. And so that's in the be more succinct and give you like a very clear example. Like they're going to want to see CAC, LTV, like or customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, break even point. They're going to want to be able to hear certain terminology and buzzwords and phrasing, like your customer retention, your churn, how you're scaling or growing month over month. Those values to an investor is a lot more actionable because then they're able to conceptualize exactly how much capital you need in order to execute on your goals, and more importantly, where their part is in this exchange. Also, 9 times out of 10, most pitches are often a discussion to where they may be asking questions with each slide, to where in a professional pitch competition, you're going through the entire presentation and then getting to a live Q&A that comes at the end.
Wow, thank you. I would not have thought of all of those differences. It sounds like it's really important to know your audience, right? And to meet them where they are so that you can have the most success. So if you have any questions, we only have 2 more minutes left. Please give us your question. Kwame, you have been awesome. I have learned so much. I will never use an Airbnb and think about it the same again. I'll be thinking about you and who's coming in to clean, right? And how that's all working. So what an interesting company and a novel idea. And I wish you all the success. It's certainly something that is needed because so many people are starting to use Airbnb. And once we're not in a pandemic, there'll be even more use for it. So I just want to thank you, Kwame, for taking the time to share your experiences with us. We wish you much success as you continue your entrepreneurial journey. The next Scale Up Winners interview will be held on April 14th at 3 p.m., where we will be interviewing our 2019 Scale Up winner, Javier Evelyn, the founder of Allerget. Applications for 2021 Scale Up Pitch Challenge, because I know as many of you thinking I'm going to do it next, will open mid-May. So make sure you're checking. The applications open mid-May for the Scale Up 2021 pitch. For more information, please visit National Black MBA's website. We have really enjoyed getting to know more about Kwame and about New. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you on behalf of National Black MBA and on behalf of the Scale Up Pitch competition. This is Charmaine Ward-Milner, and I have just enjoyed getting to know Kwame and learning more about New. And I hope all of you all have too.
Well, thanks, Charmaine. It was an absolute pleasure. And for those of you watching and listening, seriously, if you ever want to ask me anything, that is my actual email. Feel free to contact me. I know that a lot of you may be struggling in trying to find or sourcing good advice, or even just having a sounding board. There's seriously no silly or stupid questions. And I will try my very best to make time to ensure that I can actually answer you. So thanks, National Black. Appreciate and love all of you. Thank you again, Charmaine, for the opportunity. I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you, Kwame.